billionaire mother watched as a young black waitress helped feed her blind daughter, and that moment changed everything. Inside the fancy car Lumiere, the air smelled of fresh coffee, but the tension was just as strong. At a corner table sat a girl around 10 years old, feeling around for a braille menu that wasn't there. Her dark sunglasses hid her fear, but her soft voice gave her away as she whispered again and again, "Mummy, come back soon. Mummy, come back soon." From behind the counter, 26-year-old waitress Jade Robinson noticed. She'd seen plenty of rich people treat their kids with more money than care. But this girl was different. Her posture was proper, her clothes neat and clean. Yet her hands shook slightly as she searched. "Anyone serving table 7 yet?" Jade asked her manager, Kevin, who was glued to his phone. "VIP, that's Mrs. Bennett's daughter." "Wait until she gets back," he muttered. Victoria Bennett. The name was known everywhere, CEO of Bennett Technologies, famous for her perfection and her power. No one wanted to upset her. "It's been 20 minutes, Jade insisted. The girl looked scared. Kevin finally looked up, annoyed. "Jade, you're on probation. Don't make me regret keeping you here." Just then, the girl knocked over a vase of flowers. Water spilled across the table, soaking her dress. Trembling, she fumbled with napkins, unable to clean the mess she couldn't see. Jade didn't think twice. She ignored Kevin and walked straight over, aware of the stares from other customers. "Hey there," she said softly, kneeling beside the girl. "I'm Jade. Can I help?" The girl froze. "Where's my mum?" "She's not back yet, but I can help you clean this up, and maybe get you something to eat while you wait." The girl relaxed a little. "I'm Clara. I spilled the flowers. Mum's going to be mad." Jade smiled as she wiped up the water. "Don't worry. Accidents happen. It's hardly noticeable." "You're lying," Clara said, but with a small grin. "I know when adults say things just to make me feel better." Jade laughed, impressed. "Smart girl. Okay, there's a small stain, but nothing serious." "Are you hungry?" Clara hesitated. "Mum said not to ask for anything until she's back." She left when the clock said 3. Jade checked her watch. Almost 5. Her chest tightened with anger. "How about hot chocolate?" "I won't tell," Jade whispered. Clara's smile lit up the whole table. Jade soon returned with hot chocolate, a sandwich, and cookies. She guided Clara's hands to each item, explaining where everything was. "You describe things differently," Clara said, between bites. "Other people talk to me like I'm stupid." "My younger brother's blind," Jade explained. "I know you want to be treated like a person, not a problem." For 15 minutes, Jade sat with her, listening to her talk about Braille books and her love for music. The scared little girl was now cheerful and full of energy. But outside, a black Mercedes had pulled up. Inside sat Victoria Bennett, watching everything through the cafe window. Her sharp eyes studied every detail of the waitress, her daughter's laughter, the food on the table. "Should I come with you, ma'am?" the driver asked. "No, wait here," Victoria said firmly, still watching. When she finally entered, Kevin nearly tripped, rushing to her side, spitting out apologies. She ignored him completely, walking straight to Jade and Clara. "Jade Robinson, correct?" Victoria asked in a cool, controlled voice. Jade froze. How did this woman know her name? "Yes, ma'am." "I see you fed my daughter." "Mummy?" Clara beamed. Jade was so nice. "She told me about constellations you can feel instead of see." Victoria's eyes shifted to the empty plate, the hot chocolate, the cookies. Her face revealed nothing. "How much do I owe you for this meal?" she asked, pulling out her designer purse. "Nothing," Jade replied firmly. "It was on the house." The cafe fell silent. Everyone seemed to stop breathing. Victoria finally nodded, took Clara's hand and said, Let's go, honey. As they left, Clara turned back. Mom, can we come again tomorrow? Jade promised to teach me how to tell cappuccino from macchiato by smell. The moment they disappeared, Kevin stormed toward Jade. My office, now. Jade's stomach sank. Knew she had just lost her job. What she didn't know was that, outside, Victoria was already typing a message to her assistant. I want everything on Jade Robinson by tomorrow morning. In the world of the rich and powerful, nothing was random. Every detail mattered. Every dream, every struggle, every silence, it all had meaning. And Victoria Bennett always got what she wanted. Rain beat against the window of Jade's tiny apartment as she stared at her resignation letter from Caf Lumiere. Next to it lay an eviction notice and a stack of unpaid bills. Her phone buzzed. It was her 16-year-old brother, Daniel. Blind since age 5 because of untreated meningitis. His voice was calm and steady. Don't give up, he told her. You always said everything happens for a reason. I lost my job because I helped a child. Danny, what reason could there be for that? Jade whispered. Before he could answer, the intercom rang. A woman's professional voice said, Miss Robinson, this is Margaret Chen, legal assistant at Bennett Technologies. Mrs. Bennett requests your presence. Tomorrow at 9 a.m. 45 minutes later, Jade found herself walking into the massive glass lobby of Bennett Technologies, wearing her best thrift store dress. She looked completely out of place among the polished executives in designer suits. On the 45th floor, Victoria Bennett stood facing the skyline, her posture regal, like a queen surveying her kingdom. Without turning, she motioned for Jade to sit. Yesterday, you served my daughter when I told the staff to wait for me, Victoria said, her voice cool and precise. She was hungry, Jade replied simply. Victoria finally turned to face her. Do you know why I left Clara alone for almost 2 hours? Jade frowned. No, Mum. To see who would notice, Victoria said. A social experiment. 17 people passed that table. Employees, customers, even your manager. No one stopped. Except you. Anger rose in Jade's chest. You used your own daughter as a test. Victoria's lips curved slightly. Clara knew. It's a game we play. Margaret placed a folder in front of Jade. Inside was a check compensation for wrongful termination. The amount had more zeros than Jade had ever seen. I'm not for sale, Jade said firmly, sliding it back. Victoria raised an eyebrow. No one refused her. Everyone has a price. Not me, Jade shot back. And using your blind daughter as bait is disgusting. The room went silent. Margaret looked like she might faint. No one dared speak to Victoria Bennett like that. Finally, Victoria leaned forward, her icy mask cracking just slightly. Interesting. Clara asked about you. She doesn't do that, ever. For the first time, Jade saw something unexpected in Mother, curious and unsettled. I have another offer, Victoria said, sliding a second folder across the table. Clara needs a companion. The pay is significant. Jade's heart skipped when she saw the number. It was 10 times what she made at the cafe. Why me? She asked cautiously. My daughter has a perfect ear for insincerity, Victoria replied. You're real, and I like real. Margaret handed Jade another folder. It contained her entire life story. Her dropout from college, the 3 jobs she juggled, her sacrifices to care for Daniel. A shiver ran down Jade's spine. How did you get this? Victoria didn't answer. Instead, she said smoothly, I also know your brother is a gifted pianist. Wellington Academy would be perfect for him. The name alone made Jade's stomach twist. The most prestigious music school in the country impossible to afford. That's emotional blackmail, Jade said, trying to control her anger. This is business, Victoria corrected. I offer opportunities. For both of you. On her way home, Jade's phone rang. Wellington Academy wanted to schedule an audition for Daniel. Clearly, Victoria hadn't wasted any time. That night, Jade couldn't sleep. She researched Victoria Bennett obsessively. What she found was disturbing. Ex-employees who vanished from the industry, rivals destroyed by sudden scandals, and a nanny who once accused Victoria of bullying before, suddenly dropping the lawsuit. But then Jade found something darker. A news article buried deep in old archives. The accident that blinded Clara 5 years ago. Victoria had been driving that day. Reports suggested she might have been texting. And then, just like that, the story disappeared from the media. The next day, Daniel played at his audition. His music brought tears to the teacher's eyes. He was accepted. Jade knew then she had to accept Victoria's offer. Not for the money, not even for her brother's future, but for Clara, a brilliant girl trapped in her mother's cold world. Victoria thought she was hiring a desperate waitress. But Jade was more than that. Before dropping out, she had studied psychology. She knew how to read people, how to see the truth behind masks. So when Jade signed the contract in Victoria's office, she smiled politely. But inside, she was already planning her own game. Because if Victoria Bennett thought she could buy her loyalty, she was wrong. Not everyone has a price, and underestimating ordinary people might turn out to be the greatest mistake of Victoria's powerful life. What Victoria never imagined was that by letting Jade into her world, she had unknowingly welcomed someone who truly understood people. And slowly, the carefully hidden secrets of the Bennett family began to surface. 3 months had passed since Jade started working for them. The mansion, once cold and intimidating, now felt almost familiar. Under Jade's care, Clara was flourishing. She laughed more, asked questions, and revealed an intelligence that had been locked away by years of overprotection. The stars must be like music we can't hear, Clara said one evening as her fingers moved over a Braille astronomy book. We just know they're there, even if we can't see them. Victoria, watching from a distance, spoke later with a hint of surprise. Clara has never talked so much. What have you done to her? Nothing special, Jade answered softly. I just treat her like a person, not a disability. The next morning, while tidying Clara's room, Jade stumbled upon a small box hidden at the back of the closet. Inside was a diary and a USB stick. That's Mom's, Clara whispered when she sensed Jade pause. Trevor helped me hide it. Trevor Bennett, Victoria's brother, a name rarely mentioned. That night, after Clara was asleep, Jade opened the USB drive. What she saw left her stunned. Photos of Victoria smiling, a sight Jade had never seen in real life. Videos of Clara before the accident, her eyes still bright and full of life. And the news clippings that never made it to the press. Bennett Technologies CEO investigated for driving under the influence. Victoria Bennett's daughter may lose her sight permanently. An email from Trevor to Victoria, dated a week after the accident, sealed the truth. Vic, the lawyers buried it. Records are sealed. The other driver accepted the settlement. But Clara deserves the truth someday. Jade's chest tightened. Victoria had not only caused the accident, she had covered it up. With money and power. The next day, Victoria announced casually, I have a meeting with the Foundation for Visually Impaired Children. Clara is coming with me. Something in her tone made Jade suspicious. After checking, she found no such meeting existed. Trusting her instincts, she slipped a small tracking device into Clara's backpack. 3 hours later, the tracker showed Clara at a remote location, 100 kilometers from the city. Desperate, Jade turned to the only person she could, Trevor Bennett. When they met, his words confirmed her fears. Victoria has cancelled Clara's experimental treatments for years. Some could have restored part of her vision. Why? Jade asked, horrified. Control, Trevor said bitterly. She thinks if Clara ever regains her sight, she'll see her mother for what she really is. The one responsible for her blindness. Following the GPS, They reached a secluded clinic. Through a window, Jade saw Victoria arguing with a doctor while Clara sat in confusion, waiting. She repeats these tests twice a year, Trevor explained, his voice heavy. She hires specialists just to confirm Clara has no hope, even when there is. Clara, as if sensing them, turned her head toward the window. Enough, Jade whispered, her jaw set. Clara deserves the truth. They entered. Victoria froze. What are you doing here? It's over, Victoria, Trevor said, handing her a folder. I have copies of everything, the accident, the cover-up, the denied treatments. You don't understand, Victoria's voice cracked, desperation slipping through. I can't lose her. She already knows, Jade said firmly, nodding toward Clara. Clara stepped forward quietly. I always knew, Mum. I heard you crying at night. What I never understood was why you wouldn't let me try to see again. Victoria fell to her knees, broken. Clara reached out, touching her mother's face, tracing the tears with her fingers. I wouldn't hate you for the truth. I hate you for the lies. The woman who had built her empire on control now crumbled before her daughter's simple words. The doctor spoke carefully. Miss Clara, the new treatment has a 60% chance of partial recovery. Your mother has refused it for 5 years. Clara turned to Jade, gripping her hand. What would you do? Jade squeezed back gently. It's not about me. It's about what you want. For the first time, Clara's voice was firm. I want to try the treatment, and I want Jade with me. Victoria's icy mask broke completely. Her calculating eyes filled with raw vulnerability as she nodded silently, accepting her daughter's choice. In that moment, everything shifted. The empire Victoria had built on control and lies began to fall not because of scandals or exposure, but because of one simple, unshakable truth between a mother and her daughter. No one could have guessed then that the real miracle wasn't just Clara possibly regaining her sight, but the painful and necessary start of a family torn apart by secrets and guilt. For Victoria Bennett, the hardest lesson was just beginning. Sometimes the people we think we can use are the ones who end up saving us. 6 months went by. Autumn painted the Bennett mansion gardens with golden leaves. Clara, wearing special dark glasses, pointed excitedly toward a tree. I can see its outline, it's brown and orange at the same time. She shouted happily. The experimental treatment had worked partially. Clara didn't fully regain her sight, but now she could see outlines, shadows, and sometimes even colors. For someone who had lived in darkness for 5 years, it was like rediscovering the world. From the porch, Victoria watched her teacup, trembling slightly in her hands. Her company was still strong, but something inside her had changed. Her downfall wasn't public or financial, it was personal. It's still hard for her, Trevor said, sitting beside his sister. Watching Clara get better means she has to face what she did. And what I didn't do, Victoria admitted softly. 5 years wasted in fear and guilt. Trevor gave her a gentle smile. But not 10 years. Not a lifetime. You finally stopped running. At Bennett Technologies, changes were obvious. The once relentless CEO now left work at 5 to attend Clara's therapy. The Bennett Foundation for Visually Impaired Children, which used to be just for show, became a true mission, funding new research and affordable treatments. Jade saw all this with cautious hope. She was still Clara's companion, but also began leading the foundation's social programs. Her brother Daniel shined at Wellington Academy, finally having the stage his talent deserved. One afternoon, Victoria asked Jade while watching Clara and Daniel play piano together. Did you know this would happen? That Clara would get better? That I could change? Jade thought before answering. I knew Clara deserved a chance. As for you, I just hoped. Victoria nodded. You know what scares me most? Not Clara blaming me for the accident, but realizing how much time I wasted trying to control everything, when the only real control we have is over our own choices. That night, Victoria called Jade into her office. Papers lay on the table. "I want you to run the foundation," she said firmly. "Not as an employee, as a partner." Jade looked shocked. Victoria was offering her 40% ownership, full independence, and a budget to help thousands of children. "Why?" Jade asked carefully. "Because you saw my daughter when I only saw her disability," Victoria answered. "Because you saw truth where I only saw control. And because this foundation needs someone who understands that compassion can't be bought." On Clara's birthday, the mansion was full of guests, again not powerful politicians, but children from the foundation and their families. Clara, wearing her glasses, proudly showed an exhibition of tactile sculptures she had made. "I see with my hands," she explained happily. "Any regrets?" Trevor asked Jade as he watched Victoria laugh and talk with the families. "Not for a second," Jade replied with a smile. A little boy approached Victoria, confused, and asked, "Are you blind too?" Victoria bent down to his level. "No, sweetheart. But I used to be, in a way. My daughter and a very special friend taught me how to truly see." Later, Clara handed Victoria a small painting she had made with textures and a few colors she could see, to remind you that sometimes we have to lose something before we can truly appreciate what we have. Victoria, once a woman who believed she could control everything, had learned the most valuable lesson of her life from a daughter, brave enough to face the truth, and a young woman who refused to be bought. Her empire was still there, but its foundation had been rebuilt with something stronger: compassion. Jade also discovered that real change didn't need money or power. It only needed the courage to stay true to your values when everyone else had a price. Because sometimes, just seeing people as they really are beyond their mistakes, their struggles, or their past is enough to change not just one life, but generations. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more inspiring stories. And share in the comments, have you ever seen how one simple act of kindness completely changed someone's life? Sometimes, all we need to begin again is someone who sees beyond our flaws and reminds us that our story isn't over.